A pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Ekaso to the heads and elders of the panel, distinguished elders, Baba Ramfe, Momola, Federmo. I want to say, without any question of a doubt, I feel a fire in my spirit this afternoon. I feel that dynamite, that which is Ifa. When we speak of Ifa, we cannot divorce Ifa from the history of the universe. We cannot divorce or ostracize Ifa from the history of humanity. And by extension, we cannot divorce the history of humanity from the history of our Yoruba great empire. I want to say this afternoon that we have been splintered as a group, and I love and I appreciate greatly from the bottom of my heart every and any opportunity to intelligently discuss the topic of Ifa, Orisha, Yoruba history, Black history, because it allows us to not only collect the information, but to properly listen to each other. Let us take a moment to digest. Properly listen to each other, and in that moment, if we have made an error in what we have said, we have an elder who can correct us. If we have said the right thing, there are those among us who can correct us. I have no slides. The presentation is within my soul. What I'm giving you this afternoon is the light of my life spent in this institution. And I can say nothing less but Urumela is great. Urumela, afede feyo, apiju kusa, ileri peni bikiji lumari. Urumela is great. Essentially, he is magnanimous, second to Eledumare, and we cannot sit on these chairs this afternoon and not be reminded of the awesome power of Urumela, splintered across the Atlantic for so long, having nothing less than our brothers at our side. And those of us who may have spent some little time on the motherland before coming here, barely as Babalawos, we were able to cite some little Odo Ifa. And we were able to use that Odo Ifa to do some kind of Omiero. Because my brother was just with yesterday afternoon, and he is 2 or 3 hours from dying. Urumela, who that person did not learn Ifa from any Babalawo. It was represented in his DNA. And he was able to use those wonders of the world. He was able to use the wild sen. He was able to use whatever he was able to use to solve the problems in the next 16. Urumela is great, and I want to see nothing less than Oshun. It's great because Urumela left home. And when he went on his long sojourn across from wherever he went, traveling, doing divinations throughout the different tongues, it is Oshun who held the fort home. It is Oshun using Merindilugun. She was the one who cast Ifa. She was the one who do Ebo. And let our Black African people, let us have respect between male and female. As there is the protection of the sky, which is the father Olorun, there is the resonance, that is the female earth Aye, that gives production to that which the atmosphere of the sky brings upon the earth, and know that we can have reproduction. Let there be peace with the home plates. Let it be not said that we have any more in fighting amongst ourselves within the home, the microcosm, because every one of us that comes out together, we are using our collective Ori and our consciousness to push, to imbibe, to disseminate, to whatever, promote our tradition in a way that it is valuable. When I would have left Granny home, when I would have left Auntie home, when I would have left anyone home, I did not give home the opportunity to learn what I have now learned. I am now making it a task upon myself to teach them. If I were Urumela, please, let us bring Auntie with us. Let us bring our sons with us. Let us bring our fathers with us, and whatever has splintered us for so long, let us now have an opportunity, through these events and other events, to bring our families back together. We are speaking about Ifa yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and my three watchwords are trial, lesson, and unraveling. What do we mean by that? In the whole Udo, Osagun ledger, Osa on the right, Ogun on the right, Ogun down the left. Let it ooze and let it ooze rapidly. These were for declarations to the universe when Olodumare created Origun. This is one of our holy, deep, very ancient Odu scriptures which speaks about the birth, creation. There's a narrative involving how the universe came into existence. And having learned it to some degree, I have now come to understand something great that I would like to share with each one of every one of us this afternoon. Not too long after the creation of Origun, which is a very primordial form of consciousness, came another entity which created the stars that are in the heavens. Subsequent to that, there's another divinity that was created so that these planetary objects, these stars, would now have an orbit. But within that time and that space of creation, they each rammed into each other, creating cataclysms, chaos in the universe. And Olodumare decided to create another divinity so that there will be order. When they orbit, they would no longer crash into each other. And subsequent to that, there was the creation of entities that, or one entity that would allow planets to exist where life could flourish. Following that, there was this great cataclysm where everything had splintered and gone into different directions. We have the opportunity to listen to Olodumare's story in the Holy Udu Odi Erosun, Idi Aisen. Odi on the right, Erosun on the left. And Olodumare wanted to create human beings. And in that story, or that Eshe Odu, Olodumare was asked to perform sacrifice. So let me say that again. Olodumare, the creator of the heavens, the earth, consulted Ifa. The great being which is responsible for everything in existence, even the word of Ifa, consulted Ifa. Could we digest that? That's why Ifa extolled us to have humility. Humility is not some abstract thought in which you feign respect or deference to someone else or something else or some other authority. Humility is bound within our DNA as a natural caution to disaster. For within that Odu, Idi Aisen, Olodumare learned of the treacherous nature of human beings, and he was able to perform the sacrifice so that it did not create a chaos that cannot be solved. So with the understanding of Ifa, we are in a position in which we could understand the purpose of Ifa is not just for us as human beings. The Orisha each initiated into Ifa and each consult Ifa. Shongo, Oshun, Eshu, all of the Orisha are initiated into Orisha that are initiated into Ifa. They have consulted a Babalawo. On the motherland, every Oba that sits on a throne would have been trained by some head priest of his village or his town, depending on how big his father's empire was. And he will develop a personal relationship with whosoever would have been the Anifa or the Babala or the Babalorisha of that empire or village. And when I say a personal relation, it's almost as if there is a friendship between elder and junior, one in which the young one, when he assumes the throne, he would think nothing less of respect for that elder that Babalawo would have taught him when he was merely 3 or 4 years old. That way we would have propagated respect from youth to the elder. Now that he sits on his father's throne as an Oba himself, before he would set himself to war, before he would set himself to do anything of importance, he's reminded to do what? Consult Ifa. It is ingrained in his entire being. Iku Babaye, greatest I can disseminate that on anyone here present, including some of the chiefs. But I am here now humble enough before taking any direction for which I can veto any decision. I am still humble enough to consult Ifa. And that says a lot about the awesome power of Orumela, ingrained into the constitution of every human being that is of Yoruba lineage, the understanding that there is always something greater than oneself. And if not consulted, we will have imminent disaster. In our beginning, in our time on the motherland, there are many stories in which we were advised slavery is coming. The dirt, the scourge that is one human being trouncing upon the rights of another being's head and giving a right to himself to do so simply because of self-aggrandizement and ambition. That is the heinous cult that we call slavery. And what did we do with such advice? In one's self-ambition, I want to be the Oba of not only this village, but the one adjacent. If I'm to use this advice and this preeminent knowledge of slavery that is to come, why not sell a few from that side who are my enemies anyway and become richer? But the fault with selfishness and self-aggrandizement, which Ifa advises us not to have, not only as individuals, but collectively, we have outrightly given our enemy the heads up on us. If every one of us wants to be selfish in our ambitions, how would we collectively achieve anything of worth? Ubaregatan says, the non-congregational manner of snakes is the reason why human beings consume them one by one. If we are not congregational in our mindset, if we are not cumulative, if we are not moving with that algorithm of condensation, compression, how would a splintered group of people truly survive, thrive, have any sort of future that is worth having? So when we are standing on the soil with nothing but our brothers to our left and our right, we are now forced to see not the difference or any singular, you don't speak Yoruba like me, you are now forced to see the commonality. I am from the same place that you came from, and I'm the same journey going forward, and I can do it nothing less than a brother this time. Let us be our brother's keeper in that fullness, because after we have gone through the trial, which is to come here and have a chance to be conquerors, to be obas, to be whatever you have dreamed to be in your destiny, we have learned a lesson as a result of lack of Iwapele. That's the lesson that we were taught. And then comes the future. But without listening and understanding what has happened in our past, how can we work towards having a future? Ifa would see what we are doing. And that's the mystery for which we are not selectively taken into our oris and our consciousness. Is what you program yourself to do is what will become your future. Sitting as an individual in front of your Babalawo, expecting him to just give you the wonder of what is to be next, ask yourself first, what have you been doing with the last 5 years of your life? Because essentially, that is your future. There is no mumbo jumbo to be heard or had that you're going to win the lottery next week. Face the facts. If you have been putting your shoulder to the wheel, honestly and earnestly, the dividends of that shall be payable to your future. If you have been ill-using your life and your destiny, such shall also be your future. Do not expect Awo, Babalawo, Yanifa to tell you anything else other than the repercussion of what you have been spending in the last 5, 10, 15 years of your life doing. Let that sink in. Urumela has given us a grand opportunity to be together in one space. And we should know that going forward, if we look at the ether, if we look at the atmosphere, not too long from now, we, the black melanin structures, would be the only creatures that would survive this atmosphere. What are we going to do with that future? When our enemies would have been gotten rid of by the Orisha, are we going to remain splintered? Are we going to say, you are from Ekba, from and Benin, we have problems. Are we going to do that? Or are we going to unify? Think as one complete conscious being going forward with Ifa. Kabiesi Chongo and Ogun fight. Not true. In their early years, yes. But Ofonogunda speaks of, I went in the forest and I shoved 200 different logs. Cast definition for Kabiesi Chongo when he was going to have a major fight. They say that he should offer sacrifice and he should go to Ogun. Now, we have so many splinters amongst us, we don't this one, that, etc. But here is Kabiesi Chongo is being told by Ifa Orumela, you need to go to Ogun if you are going to get this strong, mighty. He made this sacrifice and he completed it. And upon completion, he waited 20 days. When he collected, it was Edunara. Wherever Kabiesi is said in Edunara, tell me where he hasn't gotten victory. We as a people, if we work together, not feeling it, but truly understanding the collective vibration that makes each one of us tick, following our timelines, and being the kind of beings that venerate not only our own personal aggrandizement, but the future which we must collectively have. What are we going to do about our future? If we have our future, what are we going to do with it? Enough time has passed for us in days gone by for us to think, contemplate. For Ifa says, before consultation we must deliberate, and we are here deliberating amongst ourselves. The Council of Orisha Elders of Trinidad and Tobago, we are using this conference and events like these to form an umbrella body. Our various shrine leaders, elders, Omawo, all of us in our different responsibilities, could we lend a hand to this body that has given us auspice, power, political currency, directive? Because we need to have organization. Having power in segmented groups, remotely, indifferent to each other, is not going to produce a successful outcome. May we have political, economic, and spiritual unity.